So, we just had the Mario 40th Anniversary Direct, and we still haven't seen an announcement for a potential next Mario Maker, which begs the question, where is it? Is it even happening? Maybe you've already given up on the idea of there being a Mario Maker 3, or 3D, or whatever it's gonna be. Well, I'm here to tell you that you're probably just worrying too much. That maybe there shouldn't even have been a new Mario Maker announcement yet. So I just wanted to sit down and kind of just give my thought on all of these matters. I think it's safe to say that a lot of people, including myself, were anticipating the announcement of a Mario Maker 3 once the Switch 2 was officially revealed. I would see posts about it on Twitter, comments in my videos, even some YouTubers also mentioning it in their videos. And I wouldn't even consider those people delusional or anything for thinking that way, because it's Mario Maker. Realistically speaking, there is a higher chance of there being one than not. But from what I can tell, and from what I've seen, it seems there's a lot of people that have got a little too excited for this legendary announcement as if it was going to bring about world peace, because I've seen people hoping for a Mario Maker 3 announcement on the very first direct we had, where I think it showed Mario Kart World and Metroid Prime 4 and other games. That's where my thoughts begin to, I guess, differ from most others, because while I do think we'll see a Mario Maker 3, I wasn't expecting it within the first 2, or the next 3, or even 4 Nintendo Directs. At the earliest, I was thinking the announcement for that game would be within the next year or so, essentially the summer of 2026. Which, after doing a little more research, it turns out that the summer of 2026 would fall under the next 4 directs, so I'm basically counteracting my own point, but we don't talk about that. So, like I was saying, I don't expect a Mario Maker announcement anytime soon, and there's 2 reasons why I believe that's the case. If we look at the timeline of events concerning the Nintendo Switch and Mario Maker 2, you'll probably notice that Mario Maker didn't release quite a while after the Switch did. The Switch was officially released in March of 2017, and then following that, we got the announcement from Mario Maker 2 in February of 2019. So 2 years later, and it wouldn't be until June of that same year that the game was finally released. If we look at all the directs that took place in between those 2 dates, there were 5 of them, with the 6th one containing the Mario Maker 2 announcement. So with that in mind, let's come back to the present day. As of the recording of this video, there's only been 2 Switch 2 directs so far. So using the Switch and Mario Maker 2 as our basis, there's still quite a bit of time before we really need to start worrying about whether or not there will be a Mario Maker 3. Now, just because Nintendo took 2 years to release the sequel to Mario Maker doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to follow the same pattern again, which is where my other reasoning comes into play. If we look at the current and upcoming library of games on the Switch 2, so far we've had Mario Kart World, Donkey Kong Bonanza, Metroid Prime 4, and Pokemon Legends ZA. These are what I consider the big money-making games for Nintendo. Metroid I'm kinda iffy on, but that's neither here nor there. Question: Do you notice anything missing from this list? Of course you do. We still don't have the one game almost every Switch 2 owner has been anticipating. Just Dance 2026. The next 3D Mario platformer. It's been almost 8 years since our last one, being Super Mario Odyssey. No, I'm not counting Bowser's Fury. Come on now. And the reason I'm bringing this up is because, can we honestly say that we're going to get an announcement for the next Mario Maker before we get one for the next 3D Mario platformer? I mean, this is more so just a matter of common sense, but realistically speaking, what are the chances Nintendo announces a new Mario Maker before the next 3D Mario game? I mean, what next? They're gonna announce some Ditto platformer? What? Get that out of here. If you think us Mario Maker fans have it bad, I can't even begin to imagine the poor souls of the 3D Mario fans who have been groveling in their graves, resurrecting every time we get a new Nintendo Direct, only to be hit by the wave of disappointment that is the next farming simulator. Even for Nintendo themselves, it just wouldn't be a smart business decision. I'm certain they know just as well as I and everyone else that Mario Maker 3 won't get eyes on the Switch 2 in the same way that a mainline 3D Mario game would. unless Mario Maker 3 literally let me walk into my Switch and then start placing the blocks myself. So at the very least, there needs to be an announcement for the next 3D Mario game before I feel like we're actually close to getting a Mario Maker 3 announcement. Looking at the pattern of the recent directs, we should have one in February and another one in June. And I'd say it's more likely we see the next 3D Mario announcement in June, so it can coincide with the holidays. Meaning at the earliest, we could see a Mario Maker 3 announcement in September of 2026, which is when the last direct of the year takes place. So all in all, I wouldn't put too much weight on the fact that we haven't gotten a Mario Maker 3 announcement yet. I know there's a lot of people who really thought the game would be announced during the Mario 40th Anniversary Direct, and when it wasn't announced, they put the fries in their bag and just gave up on any possibility of there being a Mario Maker 3, which honestly, I can't blame anyone for feeling that way. A Mario Maker 3 being announced during the Mario 40th Anniversary would be like waking up from the best dream you've ever had, and then realizing it wasn't a dream. But at the same time, you could make the argument that almost any Mario game could have been announced during that direct. I mean, it's the Mario Anniversary Direct. Okay, so after the recording of this script, I happened to conveniently stumble upon the fact that Mario Maker 1 was announced during the Mario 30th Anniversary. So it kind of makes more sense why people were hoping that Mario Maker 3 would be announced during the 40th Anniversary. But I think my point still stands, so I'm sticking with it. So I think the actual reason people have given up on there being a new Mario Maker is because of, again, two reasons. The first one being the fact that Mario Maker 2 got its final update less than a year after the game released, which for any other game might sound normal, but of all the games you can think of to stop giving support to, Mario Maker would probably be at the very bottom of the list, considering how easy it is to think of new things to add from different games. So it wasn't an interesting decision by Nintendo, to say the least, and one that I think most fans of the game were not expecting. The second is because a lot of people believe that Nintendo wasn't impressed with the sales of Mario Maker 2, which is what led them to stop supporting the game. It sold 8.42 million copies, landing it in 23rd place in terms of best-selling Switch games. Now, granted, this is very outdated information, considering the last time it was updated on the wiki was almost 3 years ago, but I doubt that number has changed much since then. Personally, I don't think that's horrible. If anything, it was just mid, average. But maybe Nintendo was expecting this game to be a knock it out of the park, home run hit, 20 plus million copies sold, and still going strong type of game. And when that wasn't the case, they just sat there looking at each other wondering, now what? So taking both of those reasons into consideration, it's not surprising that many have given up on there being a Mario Maker 3, but there is reason to still have some hope, other than the fact that I still think it's too early for the game to be announced. See, with the Switch 2, Nintendo introduced an interesting new feature being the mouse controls. Now this might just be me getting on my copium pack, it definitely is, but I feel like this feature was literally made for Mario Maker. And I've seen mentions here and there of wanting to be able to use a mouse with Mario Maker, so there's already somewhat of an interest. Mainly because it'd be an interesting new way to experience the game. Now obviously, I'm not here saying that the Mario Maker dev team was in their office and then one of them shouted at the top of their lungs, "Wait a second, what if we added mouse controls to Mario Maker?" And then some sinister Switch 2 developer that was passing by overheard that idea, ran back to his team and went, "Guys, I just had the greatest idea." That was a tedious way of saying that basically, the Switch 2's mouse control feature isn't designed around a potential Mario Maker 3, but it certainly is one of the best ways you can take advantage of it. Mario Maker 1 let you use the stylus to build levels, and a lot of people were bummed to see that not be in Mario Maker 2. But could you imagine how cool it would be if you could play with a stylus if you bought one from a third-party company? The Joy-Cons, or mouse controls? My point is, I hope Nintendo has already realized that a new Mario Maker is one of the best ways they could promote one of their main gimmicks for their new console, instead of a game like Drag X Drive. So is it bad that Mario Maker 3 hasn't been announced yet? No. At the earliest, it would be shown off during September of next year, I would believe, so we still have plenty of time. But it would suck if we finally did get a Mario Maker 3 only for it to end up like 2 did, where it stopped getting support after a year and then slowly died away. Which is why a while ago I made a video talking about what Nintendo needs to do to make sure Mario Maker 3 is an actual success. So check that video out if you're interested. It's probably on screen somewhere.